Hello.
Hello, and welcome to another DC Corner. I'm Ed.
I'm Will.
And we have two books to talk about this week. One that is absolutely fantastic.
Love it.
And the other...
I am done with.
And
Absolutely. In no uncertain terms.
And I'm done with, too. But let's talk about the better one first. That's the Harley Quinn... Oh, yeah. The Harley Quinn Holiday Special. Just amazing.
Buy one copy for yourself. Buy a second for posterity. Buy a third for all your loved ones. And buy a fourth one just for to have an altar for.
This one really has me wanting to go back and take a look at some of the other issues in Palmiotti and Connor's run on Harley Quinn. They started, their first issue had an unfortunate controversy that started over... Yeah.
But if this comic is any indication, they've at least learned from their mistakes, which I can respect.
This is... A version of Harley Quinn that really has turned into DC's answer to Deadpool.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from right there.
Yeah, and it's really good. What's neat on here is you've got sort of an anthology. You've got several different stories here, different art styles.
About like 3 or 4 little vignettes.
But all of them are very good, and they sort of bring the Harley Quinn that started in the DC animated universe.
Well, yeah, when I was watching as a kid, I mean, it has a lot of reminiscent from that, particularly in the first vignette where she actually uses her skills as a psychiatrist in the context of the story, which is about as rare as Batman investigating. So I was impressed. In the next story after that is a very opaque shout out to Looney Tunes and
yes.
That Tex Avery era.
With the earworm.
Yeah, with the earworm, with the literal eardrum. It was nice. It was nice to see. The comedic timing is very spot on. The sequencing is great. And honestly, I can't say a lot about something that does everything right. It's just, you can't.
It's a great mixture of humor and mayhem all the way through.
Yeah, it was just competent.
That just before they went into the psychiatrist part of it, they had her dealing with a child that the family had basically given up on as being out of control. So you put Harley Quinn with a child who's out of control, and you get some real fun.
Well, it was fun,
but then some really nice analysis that followed.
But don't take our word for it. You read the thing yourselves, and when you're with your 5th copy, read it again.
It really has me wanting to go back and read the rest of their run on this, and that is fantastic. Now, that's the good stuff.
Oh, God, do we have to?
We have to. And this is...
Well, we don't technically have to.
But we're gonna. Batgirl...
Are we?
Yeah. Batgirl 37.
I'm not gonna.
I understand. I really do. It takes a lot of what was great with the earlier run of Batgirl with Gail Simone and sort of trivializes it and throws a lot of away. Now, the artwork...
the artwork, because it was good. I kind of see what you're coming from here. It's just that... you guys remember the Muppet Detective movie? Great Muppet Detective, I think it was called? Man, I should know this. Anyway, that was sort of Jim Henson's victory lap after the Muppet movie. And this is sort of the opposite of that. It is the anti-victory lap. It is where they take everything that was good about the previous run and systematically destroy it.
That's about right. Now, you had a good analogy for what this was sort of like.
It's basically Mean Girls in Gotham. Beware the plastics. And unfortunately, our main characters are the plastics.
And that's a real shame. What you've got here is a Batgirl who has been reduced from being highly competent, extremely intelligent, and a very tough person
to a child.
Someone who blushes anytime she's around a boy.
Or when she goes into the art museum in this issue, she blushes at seeing her Batgirl everywhere, and it's crazy. I mean, I get being embarrassed, but I mean there are better ways to do it than having more blushing than any given anime.
And that's just it. It really is.
I've seen. I mean, I'm not even exaggerating here. I have seen less blushing in a slice of life anime, even the most Moe Blob-esque anime had less blushing than Barbara Gordon, and it does change whenever she puts on the costume, but that's it. I mean, we don't really see Barbara Gordon act like an adult. We see Batgirl act like an adult, which is at least a breather from the horrid characterization. but it doesn't help. And then we have Dinah, Black Canary, being petty to the level of literally endangering Batgirl.
Friends don't let friends walk into traps. And yet in this issue, she knows she's going into a trap. She's refusing to even message back.
And even if it weren't the case that she was, that weren't the case, Batgirl does get beaten here. I mean, yes, I get the whole structure of you meet the bad guy, they run away, you meet the bad guy again, but the bad guy wins, but then you meet the bad guy the third time, and then that's when you win. That's just basic. That's a tried and true story structure element, but within the context of Dinah not backing Batgirl up, it's grotesque. The Joker and Harley Quinn have a healthier relationship. And given the fact that the Joker has tried multiple times to kill Harley for literally no reason, and the many times that Harley has also foiled the Joker's plans when it was revealed that the Joker had done something that she didn't like,
but still healthier.
But that's still healthier than this. You said this to me earlier that it would be better if Dinah completely cut ties,
right,
and just did not engage whatsoever. That would be a normal reaction. It would be a normal reaction if she was to just expel all her rage at Barbara and let her know in no uncertain terms that she's angry. But there's this weird buddy thing where this is supposed to be a friendship at the same time.
It's snarky, and that's not Dinah. This is where, yes, they've had a deal where Barbara was very irresponsible and resulted in blowing up Black Canary's dojo. So I could see them breaking it off. But to have this snarkiness going on, it's beneath. And
it's not even like that kind of like quippy snarkiness that you see in like superhero teams where like two of the members don't exactly like each other, but they're good teammates. But they don't like each other, so they aren't good friends, and they don't work together, so they're not good teammates. So why are they together? It is this unnecessary conflict that has seemingly no resolution other than the dojo's rebuilt, and then goodbye, Black Canary. We don't see you again.
So we've got Batgirl who's been reduced to sort of a caricature. You got Black Canary's been reduced to sort of a caricature.
And it would be a bit forgivable if it was just her blushing at like a couple of things, but she has just been so thoroughly reduced to the point where she almost can't do anything herself. Her investigating doesn't tend to involve hacking, like where spots where it clearly would have been advantageous of her to use her computer skills. And she needs Kadir to help her out with some things. I mean, I get that Kadir is a Lucius Fox and that he can create the gadgets. That doesn't bother me as much as she seems to rely on other people to do a lot for her.
Well, she seems to have lost a lot of her competence, and that's the thing.
Yeah,
that's really sort of
where she's fumbling around, and it really is just pure chickification. This is worse than the mountain from Dragon Ball that thoroughly cemented Chi-Chi as a side character, and she would no longer be in combat. And it is just thoroughly embarrassing to watch as a fan of any of the Bat family, as a fan of DC, just to see this character go from the Oracle, a woman who in a subplot is making what is akin to the algorithm from Captain America 2, turning in the same story, which also feels contradictory on top of everything else, and just to turn into this, it's just this greatest American hero kind of character where she really
doesn't know what she's doing.
Yeah, and it just doesn't come across as anything that would happen to anybody in the Bat family at all.
Now, there were a couple of scenes in here, too, that were really problematic.
Yeah, the curator scene. There's this one scene where she's trying to get information from the curator, but there is no information from the curator. She doesn't know. So then all we have is this lame this lame punchline of, well, why don't you sign this fake Batgirl art, because then we'll make more money. And it serves no purpose. It wastes a page in the comic. And then we have the page after that.
Now, what happens is eventually she figures out that all the pictures somehow involve American Sign Language. And so she interprets it and figures out where to meet the bad guy. But what she's doing is that she goes in to where the bad guy is and she finds a book of American Sign Language and then realizes that the pictures have some meaning. But the trick to this is, while the actual analysis later, and this comes back to the artwork, whenever they're in this series, in this run of the series,
it's beautiful.
Whenever they show her mental processes kicking in, whether it's her memory kicking in or her analysis kicking in, they represent it artistically well. But it's the build-up.
It's one of the few things that they do right, and I will go out of my way to say that they do like one or two things right.
Now, the trick to this though is that you only have like a one or two panel lead up to explain how this happened, and I had to actually go back to the story and try to figure out, okay, how in the world did we get from point A to point B? Oh yeah, that's where it came in.
And when you reread a comic book, whether it's my trade paperback of The Watchmen, or when you go back and watch a movie again, or when you go back watch a show again, like when I was rewatching Samurai Flamenco with you, you want to go back and go, oh man, they did that there. Oh, that makes so much sense now. That is so cool looking back. You don't want to go, wait, what? How was I supposed to figure that out?
And that's sort of what happened here. Again, the artwork's great. The storyline, the scripting of it is real problematic.
And it's really that I like the concept of, someone knows Batgirl's identity, knows her previous identity as Oracle, and is using that actively against her. That is a good concept. The problem is that is the execution. With this plot thread itself, what we end up getting, as opposed to a mystery that builds up from something small and something that snowballs into something bigger, we get villain week stuff that you would expect from maybe Power Rangers or what you might expect from your baseline superhero cartoon. But with this little hint of, oh, there's a sinister force behind all of it. We're going to talk about it more. Oh, they know a bit more about Barbara. But we already know that they know who Barbara is. They already established that, and that they keep establishing that over and over again. And it feels like we're in this Mobius strip of a storyline where nobody learns anything, nobody grows, and it's maddening.
Now, in a recent DC All Access, the creators of this run of Batgirl said that there are some things that appear frivolous now that will not appear frivolous later. Yeah, so like, I'm ready for things to quit appearing frivolous. Now, here's bottom line on this thing. We left a Gail Simone run on Batgirl that was amazing.
It was beautiful. I've seen parts of it.
Groundbreaking. Not only exceptional storylines, but groundbreaking in terms of inclusiveness and diversity. We established the first transgender character in the DC universe.
And this is the first time I've ever heard of the ventriloquist. I mean, I'm used to Scarface.
Yeah.
And so when I saw the ventriloquist, I'm like, oh, hey, that's Scarface. And my dad had to explain to me, no. Yeah. That was an old villain from a long time ago that they're bringing back.
But this ventriloquist is really good.
And I liked it.
And then the transgender character, Alicia Yo, who is a wonderful character.
Handled well.
Who now only appears in very brief cameos.
And, they Chrissied her.
Yeah, and basically what they're doing now for their idea of diversity is they're bringing in... Oh, gosh, man. The villain here is as stereotypical a drag queen as you will ever see in comics. Someone who is wearing sequins, because, of course, that's a drag queen kind of thing to do. And so now you've gone from having a very positive role model character in Alicia to having a very, very, very stereotypical bad guy.
And just because you have Alicia appear does not make it okay.
And she appears in like one panel. That's all you
Actually,
get.
I think it was more. It was more than that. She appeared in like
but not much.
Yeah, it was like 2 pages, 1 panel, and then the third page for 2 panels.
But you don't get much of her. What you get is something that is, again, a caricature. And that's really what's happening. Barbara's become a caricature. Dinah's become a caricature.
It's like a funhouse mirror was projected on Gotham,
At any rate, that's why at this point...
Or actually, this isn't Gotham, is it? It's another city.
Well, that's Burnside. It was a Gotham suburb.
It might as well be Gotham.
But basically, we're done. And that's really sad to say. And I'm an old DC guy, but I'm done.
Yeah, but it doesn't stop there. I mean, with the sequins, everything about it is thoroughly offensive. As a person, as someone who enjoys DC, as someone who just ingests media whatsoever. I mean, we have the stereotypical mannerisms present, and then we use the cross-dressing as a punchline. When Batgirl accidentally unmasks her imposter, she goes, it can't be, because you're a genius, I know, and no, that's not funny, because what we essentially have here is the joke is that it's a boy in girl's clothing. That's as far as this joke goes, and it's not it's not clever, it's not insightful,
right.
It doesn't even have juvenile value. And then in the third act of this comic, we have what was his name? Dagger Type. Yeah, Dagger Type.
What a cool name. Yeah.
I mean, it is a decently cool name. I don't know, but he's this reveal where like, I am Batgirl, and you know the audience's disbelief is somewhat credible, but the way that they have their disbelief is offensive because they start laughing. Oh, are we on a reality show? This can't be real because we all know who Batgirl really is, so this guy must be a fake because it's a dude that and it's offensive. And then after all of that, we have Liam. I'm assuming we're gonna see him again because
the latest crush of the week.
Because we already had the whole like hearts drawn on the page as if this was some like 7th grader's notebook. For earlier with Jeremy returning for his like 5 seconds in the comic, but we have Liam now who looks almost exactly like Jeremy. At least Archie gave us the benefit of having Veronica and Betty with different hair colors.
There you go. Not here
because they both look the same. They are both older. They both admire her for something. But most importantly, it seems the trend seems to have that they are in positions of authority over her because Jeremy is a professor that's working with her on some project, but he's still in a position over her. And then we have Liam, who knows Jim Gordon somehow and invites her to join the police. Which, if she were to do that, that would make him her superior, or at least outrank her. And I found it really weird and squicky that the only dudes that she's crushing on are people who are in authority positions over her. But and that just adds to how offensive this is.
It takes a Gail Simone run that was way up here in terms of quality of writing as well as artwork, quality of inclusiveness and diversity, and brings it back down to where it's basically caricatures. Happens to be good artwork, but the story is just not there.
Yeah, I mean, the few things that you can appreciate, like the nod to Silk Spectre from the Watchmen movie, the redesign of the outfit, some of the henchwomen under the imposter Batgirl have the costumes that are similar to that, which was kind of cool, but we still have this offensive stereotype of a villain, and it's the entirety of the jokes are it's a dude in a dress. That's not funny. It's not clever. It's not anything. It is the same shallow crap that has been fed to us for decades upon centuries. This is older than Shakespeare.
Okay, guys, this is just it's useless. I mean, it really is. The storyline, unfortunately, really is useless. Here's the thing. I mean, it's like it sort of takes me back at Heroes Con this year. I managed to get pictures of different gender-bending cosplayers.
Yeah.
Where you had 2 male Wonder Women, and one of them had like a very traditional skirt costume. The other one had the sort of the later next to Preview 52 with the long slacks.
Right.
Both of them rocking the costume. We had women who were dressed as Booster Gold and Blue Beetle and rocking the costume too. The thing that you didn't see at Heroes Con were people
laughing.
Laughing.
No one laughs at them. No one derides them. They're just there.
And so basically what we did was take a book that had really been great for showing what could happen in society and turn people into caricatures that were made into jokes. And it almost feels like and they're like this close to becoming, well,
others besides the villain are this close to becoming slurs.
So, basically, at the end of the day, we're done.
I'm done.
And so
In fact, take my advice here. Don't read this. I want you to go and find the Harley Quinn book. Right. I want you to just melt down, burn the current Batgirl comic, and then somehow reconfigure it into the Harley Quinn book as a clone, so at least it will serve some purpose.
Actually, don't burn the Batgirl book, because that would involve actually buying the book first. Don't waste your money.
Well, not necessarily.
Well, no. It still, just leave it be. Harley Quinn was great. Let me give you some hope for next week. Let's talk a little bit something about coming up next week. Batman 37 comes out with the Endgame storyline that is amazing, and we may be talking about that next week as the Joker's back in play.
Is the next book a drink? Because I freaking need one.
I know. Batman Eternal 37's out. We get Batman Superman. Multiversity Thunderworld. Now, people have complained in the New 52 because Captain Marvel's not called Captain Marvel anymore. He's called Shazam. Keep in mind, this is another world in the multiverse.
Well, I mean, on the bright side, it does vindicate everybody who's been messing up the name.
But in Thunderworld, he's Captain Marvel. And
again?
Yeah. Now, this is Grant Morrison's great effort on different versions of the DC universe. And so we're getting a different issue, each one themed differently, and this one takes the original Captain Marvel universe. I can't wait to see this one.
All right, well...
And then, of course, Futures End and the latest Wonder Woman. So there's some good books coming out. We also have Supergirl in Hogwarts.
Well, actually...
The Crucible.
Well, yeah, Professor Xavier's Academy there. Seriously, that dude does look like Beast.
So we'll see how that plays out, too. But there's a lot of good books coming out, and hopefully some good books that we can talk about on the DC Corner next week.
Oh, and just one closing note about Batgirl. Here's why I feel that the Crush plot lines are so disingenuous. With the recent announcement that no superhero will ever get married or will ever be in a healthy relationship for long.
This is going nowhere.
This is going nowhere because at the end of the day, we either Jeremy and or Liam will have to be the bad guy, or they're going to break up, or Jeremy or Liam is going to die because there can't be the happy relationship here. This is why I feel that Superman Wonder Woman's coming to an end as well, because even in the issue we saw that we reviewed a couple weeks ago, they were already having the cracks there.
Yeah.
So it feels like they're trying to end the comic. So there's thrown to this corner here, and so when you have, and this is sort of where DC shoots himself in the foot with these grand pronouncements, because when you make these grand pronouncements, we can start to predict what's going to happen in your stories because of these grand pronouncements.
Now, there is some hope down the line.
Grand pronouncements. I like that word.
That is good.
That phrase.
What we do have coming up in the spring is Convergence, and that's going to happen. It's sort of interesting that during the 2 months that they're moving their offices to the West Coast, they're also celebrating the 30th anniversary of Crisis on Infinite Earths. And that was the first time that they really...
Wait, the first Crisis or the one from...
The very first one.
No, the one from when I was a kid or the one before that?
Before you were born. Oh, this is...
See, this is how you realize you're old, is because even the Crisis from when I was a kid is 20 years ago.
Right. This one is... this one is the first time they really blew it up. It was officially the end of the Silver Age.
Bartender was my drink.
But we'll see a lot of things there, and we do know that they have some top secret plan for what will happen to the universe after that. Probably what we will see is some mixture of the New 52 with some earlier continuities. It gives them a chance to
anything is better than Batgirl. I can't believe that after watching Irregular at Magic High School, that my already low bar has somehow been lowered again.
Now, you'll hear some more talk about Batgirl on our Comics Week in Review.
His Comics Week in Review.
Yeah, and give you a hint, it's the skip of the week.
It's the skip of the year.
It may well be. But
skip of the decade.
But next week we'll be back with another DC Corner and hopefully a lot more fun.
But it'll be okay after 11 years.
So, thanks for joining us. We'll catch you again next time around.
And I'm going to get a drink.